In this lecture, we'll be going and we'll be building the basic interface for our application. Now, if you want, you can definitely skip this lecture and download the code, which will already have the interface, because it's just so simple. For future projects, I will already provide you a skeleton interface, so we don't have to type the user interface. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to do is change the My App to App. And I know that we don't really have anything called app. That's okay. We're going to build that. And let's go ahead and remove everything from the main.dart file. So the only remaining part is the main function. Now, obviously, it is complaining because there is no such thing as app. So let's go ahead and build that. I'm going to go ahead and say app extends state list widget. And the whole point of the app widget is to present the to-do list page widget. So I'm going to go ahead and build implement the build function right now over here. Inside the build function, I can go ahead and return the material app because we will be using a material app kind of an interface. And the home page or the home widget will be to-do list page widget, which does not really exist. The title will be to-do list. Okay, pretty simple. Now, I like to create pages for every individual screen. And in this case, the name of the page is to-do list page. Let's go to the lib folder, and I'm going to go ahead and add a new folder inside the lib folder called pages. So all the pages are going to live over there. Let's go ahead and add a brand new file, and I'm going to go ahead and call this to-do list page. So to-do list underscore page dot dart. There we go. And the to-do list page would represent the to-do list screen. So the first thing we need to import is the material dot dart. So let's go ahead and do that. Now we can go ahead and say to-do list page extends a state list widget. We're going to start with a state list widget. And if we think that we want to use or we have to use the state widget or the stateful widget, then we will simply go ahead and change that. Okay. Now let's go ahead and implement the build function, which is the only function that is actually required. And inside the build function, we can go ahead and return scaffolding. So scaffold allows us to create the top app bar, the body, and if we want anything else, we can actually use that. So I'm going to go ahead and use the app bar. And in the app bar, we will go ahead and provide the title, and the title will be a widget, and I'm just going to call this to-do list. You can call it task or whatever. Let's go ahead and save it. And let's go back to our main.dart and write this to-do list page again so that we can import it. So you can see auto import, and now it is automatically imported. Let's go ahead and do a hard restart. And there we go. We can see our to-do list. Pretty simple, right? Now, in order to add items to the to-do list, we probably will need some sort of a text field, and we will also need some sort of a button. So let's go ahead and see that how we can build those kind of things. All right. Now, in order to build that, I'm going to go ahead and create a separate function, which is going to return us the widget. And this function is going to be called build body. This is going to take in the build context. So we're going to pass in the context. And the build body is going to, well, build the body. So we're going to begin with returning a column widget because we want to add multiple children to it. And in the column widget, we can go ahead and start building our body. So I'm going to go ahead and add a row widget. And inside the row widget, let's go ahead and add a text just to see how it appears. And make sure that we are calling build body. So right over here in the build function for the body, I'm just going to go ahead and fire build body and pass in the context. So all the complexity of building the body is now inside build body function. Much nice and nicely organized. So we can see the text, but obviously we don't really care that much about the text. What we really want to see is the text field. So I'm going to go ahead and add some code to create a text field. There we go. We don't really have a controller. Don't worry about that. We will go ahead and remove the controller for now, and we will get the controller later on. Let's go ahead and save it. And now you can see the text field right there. Now, what I want to do is add a add task button right next to the text field. We are inside row, so that is actually good. Let's go ahead and add a flat button. So I'm going to go ahead and say flat button. And this flat button can have a child, which we will set to text, which will simply say add task. Let's go ahead and save it. You can see the flat button right on the right hand side. Great. Let's go ahead and give it some sort of a color. So colors will be colors dot green, and make sure you're using color and not colors. And on press, when we press the button, it's going to do something. Now I also do want the style to be text style, and the text style, I do want the color to be colors.white. So the foreground color is white. There we go. Much nicer. Now you can also add a spacer if you want to, but it's already on the right hand side. So if I go ahead and add a spacer, you can see it takes a little bit more. You can see it's the text field is a little bit more smaller. All right. So if you remove the spacer, text field is going to take the whole thing. So it's completely up to you if you want this or if you want the other part. The UI is not that important. I mean, you can build a much better UI if you want to. The other thing I want to do is it's way too much on the corner. So I want to put my the column over here inside something else. So I can right click on the column, refactor, and I can simply say wrap with padding. And let's go ahead and save it. And it looks much nicer now automatically. You can see a little bit of padding just makes a huge difference. So this is our text field where we will enter the text or the task like wash the car or something like that. The other thing that we want to do is obviously to display a list, like list of all of those tasks. So right now I'm just going to hard code the list over here right after the row, and I'm just going to say list view.builder. And obviously we don't really have any list, nothing, so we have to say item count, like we're just going to say 20, and then item builder, where we're going to be passing in the context and the index. And this is going to return us something. So let's go ahead and return a list tile. And in the list tile, we're going to have the title, and the title will say your task here. All right. And let's see if it displays. So right now, the problem is that the list view or the column doesn't really know how big is the list view. So we do want the list view to be expanded. So we can always right click on it, refactor, and wrap up with a widget, and that widget can be expanded. So there we go. We can actually see our list of tasks, and this should be scrollable. Pretty cool, right? So we got our basic UI done. Obviously, if you're going to go ahead and write something over here, let's say wash the car or something, it's not really going to do anything. It's not going to add it to that list of tasks. And the list of all these tasks are also hard-coded, as you can see right over here. But at least this gives us some sort of a user interface to work with. Next up, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and write something over here, the actual task. We want to press the add task button, and we want to save that particular task to our Firestore database. So let's go ahead and see how we can accomplish that in the next lecture.